Hey everybody, this is Aaron Trevina here down in the beautiful state of Texas. And today we have a wonderful guest from our northern neighbor, and I'm not saying Canada, a little further south in the state of Oklahoma. We have Paul Bumgardner with land listings in Tulsa, Oklahoma. How you doing today, Paul?
I'm doing great, Aaron, and thanks for having me here. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And from the jump when we first initially connected a while back, I was really, taken aback obviously by your knowledge of the industry, but also your passion for land. And I'm curious as well, could you talk a bit more about what you do and what really got you interested in land of all things in real estate?
Absolutely. Way back in the Wayback Machine, I had a drive that I thought that the MLS system that I looked at like 20 years ago was really disconnected from state to state, and I thought we were scheming with a friend of mine, a developer friend of mine, and we thought, we have to find a way to really unify those things. He and I both felt that land was really what gave people security and hope. And when things became unstable, that's where everyone turned. And we felt that you know uh, I'm a Christian, and my belief in God was that that's how He gave Israel hope, and He would give them land and it gave them stability. And I think that in times of struggle and instability and insecurity, that it was where everyone was going to turn, and it's an important thing to give people roots. So that's why we focus. That's why I focused on land. The 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 idea of the MLS really became difficult, obviously because there's too many people involved in it that already have these established systems in place, and it really didn't address the thing I was really thinking about, which was raw land and real estate, that in that aspect, not necessarily homes. And I found that there was not really a lot of opportunity for people with land to market, sell, and buy land. I mean, there's you can go to the MLS, but it's really not made for it. The MLS is made for homes, and real estate agents sell houses, and that's kind of what they think about. More and more real estate agents are starting to realize the great idea of selling land and working with people that are looking for just raw land. And we there's a couple of big boys out there. We started a Facebook group 15 years ago, and it started growing, and it was amazing how many people wanted to be part of that, and it had some momentum. We quickly found that there was a few problems with having a group. It became difficult to moderate, hard to keep people engaged, hard to get the answers people were asking in the post. Real estate agents would, I called it post and ghost. They would just put something there and just never come back. Here's my phone number. Bye. I'll never see you again. Don't bother leaving a message. Just call me. And I thought that really took away from the group. And people just maybe had a question and they just wanted an answer. They didn't want to go calling someone, and they didn't want to get that far into the weeds. Um, so we built a website, and the website kind of took on a life of its own. Landlistings.com was born about 3 years ago, incorporated about 2 years ago. It's done very well. We have been growing in leaps and bounds, 100 listings a week plus every week, almost that, and new users every week. And it gave us a place to really kind of coalesce the listings that we had on our group. We started more groups, and now Land Listings manages 74 groups on Facebook alone. And Facebook is probably the bulk of our market. We found that a lot of people became very frustrated with the restrictions and difficulties of marketing on Facebook, because it was a global platform where people could get, they can get offended, they can get hurt or are frustrated with you, and then just flag you. And there was no accountability, and there's no way to discuss it or argue it, or see what was bothering someone. That just would flag you, and you have your account suspended, and now your marketing avenue is gone. So we found that within the group settings we had a little more freedom, and we had control over how much spam is in there, how many people were dumping garbage in there, and we've been able to maintain a pretty clean environment for people to market. So we decided that if agents and investors also want to use that platform we're spending a lot of time to maintain and keep clean, we wanted them to register on our site. This gave our users on our pages an option to go and view their feedback and see if they have any kind of commentary or any kind of negative feedback before they got engaged with doing business with them. A little bit of due diligence. Investors, agents, it gave everybody a common platform to go and say, hey, where's this guy coming from? I don't know this person. He's selling properties, and they can call us and talk to us. And we say, yeah, well, we'll give them a call and we'll talk to them for you, you know. So we kind of became just an avenue for people to market, to put their business information, and for the buyers to look, you know, do a little due diligence. And the need was there, and we just kind of fell into place. So the passion, and I love the land. I felt like God was going to provide for everybody through the land. If you do it right, everybody, land done right is good for everybody involved. And it's something I feel that we can get behind. It's a good life motto for us, for me, you know. And I feel like it's an honorable way to take care of people, take care of my family, and give opportunities for other people. So that's what we do.
Absolutely. No, and that's a great write up of, I guess a synopsis of what y'all do. And it's so interesting. It sounds like you're alluding to, having land as power and, obviously being able to, I guess, historically work the land if you were maybe a farmer or a rancher or something like that. And what's interesting as well was you talked about marketing land,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it just, it may sound a bit elementary, but to someone who is maybe new to the land business or new to real estate in general, how can you market land if nothing is there, right? So if you see
Right.
if you see a little house or you see a commercial auto shop or something like that, you can tell them, hey, this is what the property's for. But with land, how are you able to market that properly?
Well, with raw land, okay, first off, that's exactly part of the problem. When you go to the MLS or you go to some other places, you know, Zillow or you know, Find My Roof or wherever you're going, they're going to want an address. They're going to want to know what the house is right there, and they want to know, you know, what the counties got down for the 911, and raw land has a unique problem. So often find real estate investors that have a piece of property, and all they have is they have a Google map plot, and they have a GPS coordinate, and that's what they have. They bought this. They know they own it. They got the title, and it's recorded with the county. They have equitable interest to sell it or handle it or do what they want. So it's a difficult thing, first off. So from part of your question was how do you deal with that, because it's unique, and it is. But every piece of property is unique, and our recording system is pretty good about that. You know, in the United States, there's a couple of different recording methods with property, so that's kind of handy. Now, how do you market the land? Well, um, there's there's a huge niche of buyers out there. They want raw land. They want to start over. They want their own place. Every piece of land has some uniqueness to it, and it's appealing to some market. Like whether it's a piece of square dirt that's desert, there's nothing for a million miles out in Arizona, or if you've got something on the top of the Kiamachi Mountains in Oklahoma, or you know, up in the hills in Texas, and people that are that gravitate to that area, that's their dream of beautiful land. If you go to California and you're in the Northern California, you know, area, Redding area or whatever, and you talk to somebody about a piece of land over in the Kiamachis, there's no utilities, there's no water, there's nothing, and they go, I don't understand how you get, that's not even good, you can't do anything with it. And the people in the Kiamachi are going, there's nothing, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, you know, and that's what they're looking for. So I think that with every piece of land, marketing it is about really seeing the beauty in the property, and being able to share what you see there, and people that have gravitated towards that and they know that they're looking for it, that'll appeal to them. So marketing a piece of property that's just raw land and you don't really don't know the land, don't know the area, is more about really seeing it from the perspective of the people in the area and how they feel about it.
It's funny. It really sounds like beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right?
Well, absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. And it's like this, there was one guy going, it's just raw dirt. I don't understand why it's for sale and why people are asking $6,000 for an acre of it. And I was like, yeah, you have never seen the sunsets out in that open sky, have you? You know, in the desert. I've seen, you've never been out there. No, never have. Okay. You ought to go out and spend a week out there and see if you like it. It appeals to people. It's different. those sunsets, those quiet nights, and just hearing the coyotes and stuff making noise out in the. It just depends on where you're at and what your temperament is, what you're looking for.
Sure thing. And whether you're out, Northern California, like you said, or maybe in the middle of Oklahoma, what
Mhm.
exactly is the land market right now? Would you say that prices have been going up or they're fluctuating, coming down? Where are we sitting right now in March 2023? And where do you think we're going the rest of the year?
Well, let's see. That's kind of a tricky question. So if you ask the question, um, compared to the last few years, the market is going up.
Mm.
And it's been steadily going up, and it's not going to go down. A lot of people have been waiting for the property values to go down. The problem with this is that there's a couple of assumptions. They think that raw land is a lot like the housing market, and the housing market has a lot of variables that are unique to the market and the area of the housing that you're dealing with. New businesses moving in, incentives from the government for tax write-offs or business write-offs, and housing demands, that kind of thing. Those all really very much affect the housing market, and the supply and demand drives the prices up and down. And usually there's cycles for that, and even those are kind of out of the norm right now. We went into the COVID lockdowns, and everything kind of changed the rules a little bit. And what people think was, and I'm a little off of that from my perspective. They think that, you know, that the market just went up and people started really buying, and because they were looking for something to do. And I don't think that. I think that what happened was that people had a lot more time to really utilize the internet to take care of all of their day-to-day affairs. And that also showed up when they started looking for regular housing. And when they started doing that, they realized they were in a global market. And when you have a global market, you're no longer competing with Billy from down the street for the piece of property next to you. You're competing with John and Susan from California, who have $500,000 of equity in a house in a place they don't want to live. And so what happens is that you're now competing on a global market with people that have money, and it drives it normalizes the property values nationwide. Because if you're working, living, eating, ordering your groceries online, who cares where you live? They didn't care anymore. They didn't have to go to work. They just work from home, and they don't have to go to the grocery store. They don't see their neighbors anyway. So going to Florida and buying a house on the coast in some town they've never heard of is simple. So it gave everybody more opportunities and globalized the market a bit and drove the prices up. I think that we're going to see with land, and now I know the question is land. So with land, the prices also went up, and everyone wants them to come. They're going to come down, and what they're expecting is 50%, 60% drop in prices, because they felt that there was a 50 or 60% increase in land value. And over the last 4 or 5 years, I think that's pretty fair to say we've had a 30-40% increase in land value, and just land in general, because you have farmland, which is a little bit different. The farmland, as opposed to raw land, land inside of city areas where you can build like in a lot, as opposed to raw land that's larger. And the raw land that is larger has been purchased up in droves and split up and divided and sold in smaller parcels, utilities installed and then sold off in lots. So that's where that. So I think that while the prices are going to come down, and they have been coming down a little bit since November, we've transitioned into a semi-normal cycle for the housing market. So we kind of left the seller's market in November, and everyone grabs their wallets whenever there's a shift. So everybody kind of stopped. I have a lot of land investors and real estate agents that said that it became work. They had to actually start selling again. They had to start working again. A lot of the new real estate agents have left the industry because they got in the pandemic because it was easy money, and they didn't have to market anything. And now they're like, well, I'm not getting any leads and I'm not selling anything. Well, it's because it's called work. And the seasoned real estate agents are going, yeah, here we go. Now it's time to work. So, but so with the housing market, that happened November. It's starting to switch around. It's starting to slow down. Pardon me. And so with the housing, it's starting to turn into a buyer's market instead of a seller's market. It's kind of stopped being a seller's market in November, and people were able to go into a buyer's market. The banks locked down loans, made it very difficult. So that transition has been slow. But the lenders now are realizing that if they don't lend out this money, they're not going to be able to make money. It's nice to, tighten your belts and not give anyone money, but they're starting to realize, they pulled their resources, they got their backing. The lenders are now loosening up a little, and they're going to start lending again. So it's turning into a buyer's market, but still people with cash rule. So if you've got deep pockets, yourself or investors, if you've got cash, between now and June are a beautiful time for you. I would say getting into June, you're going to be competing with everybody that can borrow money. If you have deep pockets and you don't need to borrow money, I would wait probably a month or two and then pick up some pieces and start buying stuff, left and right, and start buying stuff. You'll have more power and control over that. Prices should come down about 10 or 15%, I think, between now and June. 10% is pretty reasonable, I think. But I wouldn't think, people think, oh, the interest rates are going to come back down. We had 15 to 18% interest rates in the 80s, and people lived with it and they didn't complain. And people are going, oh, 6%, oh, not 7%. We're going to sell stuff. People are going to buy it, and you're just not going to have one. You're not going to have a house. You're not going to have a piece of land because you just don't want to pay the interest rate. And, that happens. But people with money and people that can get the loans, which are going to be easier over the next couple months. A couple months in, I think that the loans will be easier for everybody, I believe. And I think that we saw about a 10% drop over the past few months because the lenders were tightening up their lending, and then the buyers were only coming in with cash, and the sellers were going, we can't sell it if they can't get a loan. So a lot of the sellers either offered financing terms, which is it's smart, because you can't get 8%, 10% interest anywhere else. You can't get that investing it somewhere. So if you can finance it, always take that interest money. Ask for a down payment to cover your butt. But if you can sell it and get interest, if you have cash, buy it. I would say give it a month or two. I wouldn't be in a rush, but in a month or two, you'll have the best clout. So I would say May, I would be careful. Like the end part of May, because then you're going to compete with people that can get loans. The lenders are going to open up, and it's going to be a more competitive market again. But I don't think the prices are going to come down more than 10, 15% at the very most. And then they're going to normalize and they'll start climbing again. Land has traditionally climbed year after year. So that's kind of where we are. Welcome to my world.
Welcome to your world. And those are some great points there as well. And you mentioned something interesting, I guess, talking about terms, or doing something on terms, right? So maybe, if you're a new investor or you're tight on cash, we all kind of know cash is king, but maybe for someone kind of looking to get their feet wet and buying land in
Sure.
general, how can they do that? Are there any sort of strategies they can use, or?
Well, I mean, I can cite kind of the traditional methods. There's a lot of investors hitting the market as REI every month. Something around 8,000. I checked it a couple months back. About 8,000 new investors a month are hitting the market trying to make a living. So it's a competitive market. Now, there's a couple of avenues to go. If somebody let's say that they have, I don't know, $50,000 they want to invest or something, or 10, 20,000. A lot of investors cut their teeth on auction properties. So if you're going to cut your teeth, and that way you're not into it for a whole bunch of mailers, etc. Because you can dump $5,000-$10,000 into just advertising and mailing. You could actually work that, and it would be a lot for you to do. So you can spend a lot of money. The whole point is advertising it's an endless pit, and I am aware of that keenly because that's my market. We try not to be an endless pit for people. So But most people you can cut your teeth, and I recommend it honestly. Do some post auction stuff, buy a few properties, and figure out the ropes. It doesn't hurt you to do, to buy 5 or 10 properties and see how that goes, and kind of get used to dealing with county, dealing with paperwork. Uh, you'll ask all the same questions everybody asks, like how do I build this title, or how do I build this contract for deed, or how do I do this contract for sale. These are simple things that'll get your feet into the water and get you comfortable with the process. Um, that's not a bad method for everyone to kind of go the ropes and figure it out. A lot of people want to just, invest and make money. If that's what you want to do, there's places you can go and just dump your money, and they'll pull it into common shares, and you can get a return. There's websites that can pretty much, not guarantee, but pretty much guarantee 8-9% return on your money. And that's, if that's all you want is a little return, is invest it like normal people. If you want to sell land, do a little footwork, get comfortable with going out and seeing a property, go to an auction, or just, do a couple of purchases online. Arkansas has got a website. Now you caught me off guard. Let me pull it up real quick. There's an Arkansas website. People go there a lot.
Now, it seems
So
like
it's most,
Arkansas has grown quite a bit, I guess, with Walmart and kind of the.
yeah, it's actually the next boom town. I think it's going to be big. So the COSL auction site, it's COSL.org. That's auction. That's the auction site for Arkansas, and that you can actually buy post auction, so things that didn't sell in the auction, and you can, if you buy them post auction, like directly, you're going to pay for any kind of tax liens that are on there in closing, and you might spend $1,000 or something and buy a piece of property, quarter acre lot around one of the little, counties north of northern Arkansas area. If you get properties that are over 2 years old, I believe it's over 2 years old. So you might not want to quote me on that, but I think it's after, if it's been sitting up there for 2 years, you can send in an offer to the commissioner of lands, and buy the property, and they will absolve the taxes. So any taxes or back taxes that are due on it, the reason, why it went to auction, it'll just be absolved, and you'll get a tax lien or tax sale. And people send in offers for $75, buy a piece of property, go through 2 weeks of paperwork, and they own a piece of property. You buy, 10 or 20 of those, sell them for $600 or $700 or $1,000, it depends on what it is. And you've doubled or tripled your money, and it could take you a couple months. It's a good way to kind of learn the ropes, figure out how to buy and sell property, with dealing with the counties and dealing with the taxes. It's a good way to get your feet wet, like you said. So I recommend something basic where you get your feet into it and start learning it. There's courses and masterminds and all these other things you can do. The biggest problem is with any investor that's starting, is that they have paralysis, and that's always the biggest problem. If you don't force yourself to just make the move, you won't. And you'll fight that, and you fight that for 2 years or 6 months. You go through a course, and the only reason the course may ever help you is if they force you to do one step at a time and buy one, which is what I recommend everybody does, is go buy one. You go spend $75 on a property and back taxes. Worst thing that can ever happen to you is you just give it away. I mean, you spend $100, which is way worth the education. So I would say go buy a piece of property and just buy one. How do you get started? Go to a post auction website and buy one, and then you own one. What do you do with it? Sell it. Get rid of it. Give it away. But if you lose $100, who cares? Nobody cares, and you've learned some things, and it's worth it. You might make a few $100. Now you're a land baron. Congratulations.
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting point as well. I know, I grew up in Corpus Christi, so I remember, I forgot what I was doing. I was online, maybe looking at, some of the tax records or something online, just kind of looking at property values, and I noticed that there were, I think, some, I guess, pieces of land in a known swamp, right? The land
Right.
is very swampy, and I think the land was, I think, maybe $50 at the time, or is it 50 or $80 or something like that.
Are you kicking yourself? I should have bought it. I
It's
should have
funny
bought
that
all
was
of it, all of Corpus Christi. I would have owned it.
yeah, yeah. I guess that was that was about 6 years ago.
Oh
So
yeah. My first taste of land. My wife and I were shopping. And we found some land in the UP, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, for $50 an acre.
huh.
And they were selling 20, 30 acre parcels. We're just like, yeah, I don't think we want to live up there. It's like, what are you talking about? Buy the land. You're gonna learn. You're gonna learn. Buy the land. You got if you see land for sale for I mean, people are like, oh, I'm looking for land for under 1,000 an acre. Yeah, that's not gonna happen anymore. You aren't gonna find that. Well, 2,000 an acre? Probably not. No. How much do I have to spend? I've seen land for 40,000 an acre, 50,000 an acre, raw land. And it's like, wow, as can you sell land for 4,000 an acre? Oh yeah, all day long. You can sell that all day. I can find a buyer for you all day long. It's, for like 5, 6 acres, 10 acres, whatever, the lots are a little bit unique because every piece of land is unique. If you've got utilities access and all that, you're in a development or HOA, that's really nice. It's going to cost more. But that's my disclaimer, my legal disclaimer. So you can find land, just raw land, like 5 to 20 acre parcels. You can still find it for 2,000 an acre, and I mean in nicer areas, raw desert land still under 1,000 an acre. You can still get it. If you find something out in the middle of nowhere where there are no streets and there are no names. Was that the streets have no names, right? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so. But yeah, I bet you wish you bought that swampland.
Yeah, I forgot. I wish I could tell you more in depth. I really don't remember. I just remember it being in kind of a strange swampy area, and it was known to maybe flood, or you couldn't do anything with the land.
Yeah.
So I guess that was
And
why.
you knew it was trash, right? I don't know. Wow.
Right.
Who in the world would spend that kind of money on trash?
Yeah.
Oh, live and learn, live and learn.
That's right. It's kind of funny looking back, but one thing I guess one thing I was interested in our phone call a while back was you mentioned something about buying partially developed land. Is that different from buying just straight up raw land, or how is that different
Yeah.
in terms of the way you
Yeah.
analyze it?
Um, so remember that utilities, when they put them in and we get infrastructure in it, it raises the value mainly because a lot of people want land. I mean, you've got to realize the bulk of buyers out there, uh, investors aside, because investors make up the bulk of all purchases. They buy and sell more land than any end buyer. So a end buyer typically is middle class person that wants a place to build a house eventually and do better than where they are and get away from where they are. They don't know what that means, what that entails, how hard that is. They have no idea how to dig a well, and they don't know that you have to trench for a quarter mile to get your water from the city either. They don't understand that. They don't understand that you might have to plow and bring in, make a gravel driveway and plow that every winter. And so while the dream is pretty common, and everybody, I mean, every person out there at one point thinks I need someplace of my own. you know they don't know what that means. So if you, let's say the perfect storm, I'm in Oklahoma, and we can say northern Texas, say you got a place north of Dallas, right, and you find a screaming good deal. Let's say you find 100 acres up there for, I don't know, 500,000. That's just probably realistic. If it's an hour within an hour of Dallas, that's a good deal. So if you find that and you go, wow, that's incredible. And let's say it's a quarter mile off the highway, the interstate, and it's less than an hour north of Dallas or something. That's a beautiful opportunity, because as an investor, let's say I have $1 million or 1.5, right? I would come in there so fast, buy that up, and I mean, I'll check it, of course, but zoning and all that restrictions, and see what you can do. Make sure there's nothing out there like swamps, etc. But let's say it's a perfect scenario, perfect storm. Get in there, develop it out, split it up into 1 acre parcels, 1 to 5 acre parcels. Develop out, in the plats, get my roads in there, my infrastructure in there, get an electric, my water, get my sewage, maybe not, maybe, well, you have to do septic is more common, but utilities like phone and internet, and you get it all, lay it out and platted, and then start developing that thing. I mean, cut some roads in there, get some dirt work in there, split it up, put stakes up and everything, get it all surveyed. You know, if you're going to plat it out, get it all surveyed out so everybody knows where the corners are. Put your pegs in. You're going to invest a bit, but the whole point is, if you get the infrastructure in there, someone's going to say, hey, you know, can I put a single story building in here, 1,500 square foot, and build something? You know, you can have your standards either, you know, do I allow manufactured homes? Do I not? That's going to matter. And it's going to make a difference in the price of the land. So if you have your restrictions, you have your development, you cut your roads in, you get your utilities in there. If you, pardon me. So if you make their dream, I mean, you fit this property into their dream as easily as you can. So their dream is, I want to go somewhere and have a house. And that's the extent, really. The rest is just working out the problems. And if you can solve the problems, then makes that visual, that vision, a reality for the buyers, for the end buyers. It makes it so, it's not, well, we'll have to figure out how to get a road in. We'll have to get access. We'll have to get water. I don't know where we're going to get electricity from. How much is all these questions are just roadblocks. And you want to eliminate those. So if someone has a question, if they come to you and they have an objection or a question, you should have already solved that as a developer. If they say, I don't know, what about access? If they're asking you about access and you don't have that solved, that's a problem you should have solved developing it. If they say, well, where's the power at? If they don't see that there's power at the end of the corner, you know, at the end of the property right there, and they can be hooked up and they're ready to go. And in 2 weeks, they have a builder out there, have a temp pull, or bring a manufactured home if that's your bag, and drop it and go. If they can't see that happening with no obstacles, then you need to eliminate those obstacles. As a developer, that's your job. And the more that you do to eliminate those obstacles, the more you can charge for that land per acre. You don't charge, oh, it's only going to raise the value of the property, you know, $2,000 if I have utilities. Not true. It might raise the value of the property $3,000 to $5,000, $10,000 an acre per acre. And you got a 5-acre parcel. That's a huge markup. And if you're splitting up 100 acres and you've developed it out and you've spent $500,000 on it, and you're splitting it up into 1 to 5 acre parcels, and you've got it all divided up, you know, you're going to make an absolute killing. And in this position in this market, I would pre-sell a handful of them, pay off all the bills, pay off all the land, and then I would finance the rest and just live on I would just love that interest. I would use that interest for my next investment.
Wow,
So that's
yeah.
where I would go if in the perfect storm.
In the perfect storm. And you think that that's doable? I guess what you just said right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've got guys I'm talking with. We do masterminds of breakfast, and they're working on self-contained communities with solar power for people on 100-acre parcels, northern Oklahoma, just north of Tulsa. You know, I mean, this is the kind of conversations we have. Yeah, it's not doable. It's being done.
Yeah.
And when people are going, I'm looking for 50 to 75 acres north of Houston, what do you think they're doing? What do you think the plan is? You think they're just going to open a little winery over here? they're going to break it up and sell it off in pieces. I mean, they're not looking. No. It's great and wonderful to sell a piece of property if it's big. That's good. If it's 700 acres or 1,000 acres or whatever, and you sell it, that's awesome. But it's not really meeting the needs of hundreds of investors, buyers, and and buyers are the goal, because that helps the investors make a living and helps them buy more, takes care of their families, and the investors can buy something they really like. That's the goal. The end buyers get a dream home. They get the location they want. And if the better that you can meet that need, the better off everybody will be, because they won't have a failure. You'll have a success. Nothing quite like, I just sold one 5-acre parcel over here, Antlers. Nothing like it. The people they moved in last weekend. It's like perfect, awesome. This is the best thing in the world, because that's the goal. Hook them up, make it work for them. Young couple, 30s, just early 30s, and they're one kid or something, and they're doing it. It's happening. They got their PO box, and they called me. I got a new PO box, and they were excited, and that's the goal. Am I making money? Sure, yeah, and that's fine. And are they getting a good deal? Absolutely. It was undervalued. I sold it at 2,000 an acre, and I financed it, you know, and because I could, I mean, I paid it good, you know, and you could be creative. There's options out there, wraps and stuff like that. There's 100 ways to buy and sell land. You know, that's a different story. But yeah, this is happening all the time. People are buying up land, splitting it up. If it's maybe it's not, you know, 100 acres and making 30 parcels out of it. Maybe it's buying 50 acres, selling off half of it so they can keep some. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just that they didn't have the vision to realize they can make a living on it, you know? And so, yeah, it's happening all the time.
That's right. That's a great distinction to make, you know, not so much is it doable, it's, you know, how can you do it because it's being done, right?
It's all doable. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's everything you want to do with land can be done. It's just another, you know, is it going to be marketable? Is it going to add value? Is it going to solve someone's problem? If not, you probably don't need to do it. You know, you don't need to put, you know, when you cut roads in, do we need to have asphalt roads? Do we have to have curbs installed? Probably not. Most of the time with raw land. Are you going to be catering to really, really high end customers with, you know, $2-3 million houses over here, $5 million houses? Probably not for most deals. If you are, then by all means put the curbs in, you know, put the curbs in, and your investment can warrant it, and that's okay. But you know, if there's not a reason, if it's not going to make a return for somebody, for you or other people, it's not worth it to do it. And don't do it.
Yep, definitely well said there, Paul. You know, we've covered a lot of ground tonight, you know, in terms of, you know, what you can do with land, different strategies. You know, really the sky's the limit here. Is there anything you haven't said thus far you'd really just like to hit home for us?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think that there's a couple things. Landlistings.com does marketing. And one thing I think the reason why I say that, besides the plug, um, it's always a great time to continue marketing, to do marketing. People go, well, you know, I don't know about my product. I have one guy who just signed on 11 of his agents. And he said, well, I've got a few agents that don't have any listings. What's the point in me doing, you know, the paid marketing for you guys? I said, well, when someone's looking in Oklahoma, your guys are going to be on the bottom there of every page. You know, we're going to be marketing your agents, even though they don't have land, their card and their information, their phone numbers right there. I said, would you like leads or not? You know, when's a bad time for you guys to have phone calls? You know, and so I think that the first thing that we'll take away is you can't ever stop. It's people think, you know, there's a time to market, there's a time to build, there's a time to develop, there's a time that you're wrong. You should be doing all of these things all of the time. You should be marketing and selling, and you should be looking and buying. And if you are not, that you're going to end up in this cycle where I'm out of inventory. Now I got to go buy land. Oh, I'm out of money. Now I got to sell some land, and you're going to be doing this, and it's going to kill you. If you don't realize that you need to invest your time and energy into every aspect of your business consistently, you're not going to have brand. You're not going to have funds. You're not going to have consistency and no name recognition. It's amazing how much that's going to really affect you. So I would say if you're going to take something away, it's always a good time to market. It's always a good time to look for something to buy. It's always a good time to sell. People are like, it's not a good time to buy land. Absolutely. It's just, you got to know your market and you got to know what's coming. If you're not acutely aware, pardon me, if you're not acutely aware that the prices are going to drop a little bit over the next couple of months, then you're going to overpay. You know, it's just about being aware of what's going on with the market and being prepared for what's coming, and us just a good guess on how long you're going to hold the land, how long it's, and there's a lot of people that over purchased and they bought land overpriced. Just sit on it and just pay the taxes and sit on it. Don't lose, you know, oh, I'm going to lose 20 grand, and then don't sell it. Just sit on it, market it, you know, put it out there for sale, market it, put a little effort into it, not too much. Just don't worry about it. Don't sell it. The land will come up. You know, the values will come up. They'll catch up to whatever you overpaid on it. You know, I'm sure that swampland was overpriced at $50 an acre, right? I mean, it'll
Yeah.
catch up. Trust me, it will. And
Yeah.
then, as far as, you know, it's going to go way down. No, it's not. You can say that all day long, and you're the guy that's going to hold your wallet and not buy any property, and you're not doing business. So it's not going to come down that much. It's going to come down a little. And if you have got cash or access to pockets, or you can get the loans in a month or two. It's a perfect market to shop and buy, or, shop around and buy and start making lower offers. Um, I mean, don't screw anybody. Don't hurt anyone. But it's enough of a kick in the teeth for people to realize that they have overpriced their stuff, or they're not going to get gold for their property. That little hike in the pandemic was just an adjustment. It was a knee-jerk adjustment to the influx of buyers from other places that have a lot of money, New York, California, that kind of stuff. They're bringing the money everywhere. So people are like, oh, all the Californians coming in from Texas. Well, yeah, because you had your land underpriced and they had a whole bunch of money. That's why they came into Texas, and now, oh, I can't believe it's that much an acre. That's why people in California bought it and you did not, because they have the money and they know it's worth it. And it's not going to come down a lot. It's not. It's going to come down a little because people are going to get sober. They're going to realize they're a little overpriced. And then it's going to be hard. It's going to be a buyer's market instead of a seller's market. We're kind of in the beginning of it if we're not already into it. And it's going to get heavy into it all the way into June, July, maybe. And then we'll probably dip into a normal cycle again. So that's my takeaway. Always invest, always market. We do marketing. And one of our things we really love at landlistings.com with a dash, land-listings.com. One of the things we really pride ourselves in is that we don't remove your old posts. We bring the traffic to your land listings and your land card, so that while your land might be sold, if someone clicks on it and they go to it'll lead them to our website. It'll take them to your information. Mm-hmm. So we are constantly marketing your brand and your company, and not just that one piece of property. And if you stop paying us on Thursday, we don't take all your ads down Friday. If you're done marketing and you don't really want to keep doing it, well, just turn it on and off. It's not even, there's no contracts. Just turn it on for a month, run it, enjoy it. Run it for 6 months, enjoy it. And then if you feel like, it's not working, no, I want to just not do it, turn it off. I've had that happen. People run it for 6 months, turn it off. I say, I need to shut it down. I got some things going on. I'm not really going to be doing it right now. And they call me up about 2 weeks later and say, I was wrong. I apologize. Can we get started up again? It's like, yeah, by all means. And everybody, people go, they feel bad about canceling. It's like, no, that's what it's for. Use it if it works for you, and turn it off. If you don't use it. I had one guy posting a picture of a property with no description, and he goes, I don't know why I'm not getting any leads. Yeah, I got some ideas. You want to talk? Yeah. So, but always market, always promote yourself, always build your brand, always shop for land. If you're not constantly doing all of these aspects of your business, you will fail. You will fail, and you'll end up in this cycle and knee-jerky thing, and it's not going to be good for you. You'll be frustrated. So always do all of it. That's my takeaway.
Yes, sir. Well said. And we know where to find you. I'll have that in the link in the description below. It'll be land-listings.com. And
thank you, sir.
And of course, and I know you mentioned something about a mastermind. Are those in person in Tulsa? Are they virtual, or how can we kind of connect with what y'all are doing?
Well, we have a couple of small groups. Personally, I'm involved in I think 3 or 2, and then some of them, one of us from my church group, and that is awesome. We get a couple of guys to get together and we just kind of beat each other up about not treating people right. Everything from how to parent the kids and take care of the family to do our business right. That's the first thing. And then obviously I'm a part of a real estate mastermind group. And the focus in that group is, doing business in land in a way that it's honoring and respectful of our ideologies, our beliefs. And it's easy to be tempted to compromise your standards, and I don't think anyone should do that. I think you should be a man of your word, take care of your business, and do the best you can for folks. So that's something where I'd rather have people around me that'll hold me to it and challenge me to it. So that's one thing. And that there's a Christian Land Coalition and a couple of groups that's virtual on Facebook. I can give you a link to the one I'm in, but it's you have to go through the gatekeeper, and that's Amy. She's actually the manager of that group. It's a really nice lady. There are a few training courses out there if you want to get your teeth into something more organized, which is I don't recommend it for the people first starting off, honestly. I think that if you join a few groups on Facebook that are just dealing with land investing, like investors groups, it'll be helpful to get the lingo, to understand the jargon, understand what people deal with. That's helpful. There's one specifically which I don't feel bad about promoting. Let's see. Let me find this one here real quick. Boy. So I just drew a blank, so I'm trying to figure out where it is. Anyways, I'll send you a link for it, but I'll give you a couple of links, okay, Aaron, and that way you can look at them. But give them to your people, and if they want to look at them, great. They want to join them, great. They want, usually there's a pretty hefty fee on some of these things, and that's one thing about our site. But that's one of the reasons why we started it. There's a couple of options for marketing land out there, and they're expensive. We are basically marketing your brand, and we market it consistently. A single investor without any kind of labor or assistance only pays $50 a month, or $49.95, so $50 a month. We actually give people a virtual assistant to help them for 2 hours a week for $149 a month total. So it's a subscription that they can sign it, they can start and stop. So it's pretty affordable. Some of these mastermind classes can be, $10,000, $12,000, $8,000. There's value in them. I would say there's value if you don't know where to get the information, if you're not good at figuring things out on your own and piecing things together, and you just want an action plan, then those might be good. And I'll send you something for that. That being said, I do some virtual and some in person. And I can send you a couple links to some of the Facebook groups, and we can talk about those.
Sure
So
thing, Paul.
hopefully that helps.
No, it definitely does. We'll have those. I'll make sure to put those in the description below. Paul, it's been great getting to know you a little bit more,
Thanks.
about you, about land, about what you do, and really, just looking to plan for the future, give something very actionable to our folks here in our community. And, thank you so much. We greatly appreciate you coming on tonight.
Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate it. Appreciate the time, guys.
Talk to you later.
You too. Bye now.